No. It's okay. I wanted to show them my face. What's wrong with that? Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good.
Hi.
Everyone.
Take care.
So if you haven't filled out the form yet, please fill out the Google form real fast. And if you could, please unmute yourself. Thank you.
You're getting in.
And also, we're going to wait a few minutes. Started. Okay, I think we're waiting for some more people to trickle in, but we'll get started around 8:04, 8:05. All right, so I think most of the people have come. So we're just gonna start it off. So if you haven't already, please fill out the survey form that we have. It's in the chat, so just click on it and it'll pop up. Furthermore, if you haven't muted yourself, please mute yourself so that you can hear the panelists. All right, so welcome everyone to this information session. My name is Catherine. I'll be the moderator for the panel today. And if you have any questions at any time, just drop them in the chat. We're gonna go through a list of questions with the panelists, but if I call on you, please unmute yourself and state your question so everyone can hear. Furthermore, I would like to remind everyone that the focus of this panel is about the perspectives and experiences of current TJ students, specifically for underrepresented minorities. So if there are any questions about policy changes and whatnot, unfortunately, I don't think we can provide you with the best answer during this information session. Yeah, so without further ado, we can go ahead and introduce the panelists. I can start off. So I'm the moderator. My name is Catherine, and I graduated from TJ in 2019. I'm currently a sophomore at Georgetown University studying international econ, and I love TJ, so that's why I'm here with everyone today. So Didi, would you like to introduce yourself, and then we can go down the line.
Sure. Hi, guys. So as Catherine said, my name is Didi. I am a current senior at TJ. In college, I hope to study international relations and maybe neuroscience. That'd be cool. Some fun facts about me. I love photography and listening to music, and I love TJ. It hasn't always been the easiest experience, but it gave me a lot, and I'm really hopeful that I'm able to make that journey easier for some of you guys, and yeah.
Rahel.
Hi guys, my name is Rahel. I'm currently a junior at TJ, and still got some time before college, but right now I'm interested in programming and biology. And like Didi said, TJ hasn't always been the easiest, but I would recommend it. I'm having a good experience there, and I think you will too. So.
And Gurleen, go ahead.
Hi guys, my name is Gurleen. I'm a senior at TJ. In college, I hope to study education and either biology or physics. I'm not sure. I guess for me, TJ has definitely been a really difficult experience, but I've gotten a lot more opportunities here than I could have at my base school. For example, I'm currently doing the Oceanography Senior Research Laboratory, which is like literally a dream come true. So, yeah.
All right, so just a reminder, if you have any questions at any time, just drop them in the chat and we'll call on you when appropriate. All right, so the first question, we're gonna take it back very, very far. So how did you first find out about TJ?
I first heard about TJ when I was in about 4th grade, but of course back then I wasn't
Someone to unmute themselves and answer the question, that'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah, and I can you guys hear me? Sorry. Okay, thank you. All right, so I heard about TJ in 4th grade for the first time. A friend had applied, so I'd heard about it, but of course I wasn't seriously considering it. And in 7th grade, TJ, there was a woman who was in charge of outreach at TJ who put together an open house at TJ for 7th graders at the end of the year. And that was when I seriously considered applying in 8th grade. And it was a great thing that she put together. It was what really made me realize that TJ was gonna be the place for me. So I hope they're still doing that and have that open house, because it was definitely a great opportunity.
So for me personally, it's sort of similar. I remember when I was younger, around 4th grade, this was way before TJ renovated and like looks amazing now, but they hosted this information session for minority students. So that was when my mom and I first officially learned about it. We got to see the school, although it looks a lot better now. But yeah, I was in AAP growing up, so a lot of my classmates were Asian or white, and they talked a lot about TJ prep or just how their parents want them to apply to TJ. So just as I went through that over the years, TJ started to be more in my mind as, is this something I should consider in the future?
So I have a really different story. Growing up, I wasn't even sure if I was gonna go to like college, and I was thinking like, oh, maybe I'll take honors, or like a couple honors classes in high school, but I don't know if I'll be able to handle anything more than like 1 or 2 honors classes, which is kind of funny looking back because now I'm at TJ. I first heard of it in 7th grade when I was not in the AAP program. So one of my friends like mentioned like, oh, I wonder what it would be like to go there. And I was like, oh, well, what is TJ? And she explained what it was to me. And then another one of my friends jumped in and was like, oh, it's a horrible school. It's super competitive. Don't go there. And then, so I like forgot about it. And then there was an info session at my school in September of my 8th grade year. And that's when I decided to apply.
So kind of just a follow-up on that, what ultimately motivated you to apply? Even though there might be like this, disparate opinions about TJ, what made you take the step and go through the admissions process?
For me, go ahead, Gurleen.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, for me, it was really simple reasons. At the admissions info session, they said that there are no bells and there's 10 minutes between classes and 70-minute lunches. And they showed like the research labs, and I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. So I decided to apply.
For me, it was I actually wasn't going to apply. Like I remember the day before admissions closed, my final decision was that I wasn't going to apply. But it was my parents who gave me the final push and just told me, like, just because you apply, it doesn't mean you're going to go. Just because you apply, it doesn't mean you're going to get in. And that was very important, right? Because applying is not a commitment. It doesn't mean you're going to be at TJ for the next 4 years. So I'm very glad they gave me that extra push I needed, because I really wasn't thinking straight.
I mean, I personally didn't want to apply at first, I guess similar to Rahel. But I didn't really felt like I had the luxury to just pass this up. I don't live in the best area. The education around here is not great. I'm very grateful for what I have, but I knew that I needed a better education if I wanted to do some of the things that I dreamed of. So applying to TJ was more of what I felt a necessity if I wanted to get a cool education.
Yeah, thank you for your answers. So I was kind of wondering what your admissions journey was like. Was it easy? Was it intensive?
For me, like I said, at first I was not gonna go. In terms of the admissions journey, Catherine, let me just follow up. Do you mean after I've decided, like after we decide to apply, or the time up to making the decision?
Like during the process itself.
Oh, during the process, personally, I kind of came into it, like I said, with the idea that I would take the test. If I got in, great. If I didn't, at least I didn't pass up an amazing opportunity. You know, you live close to the greatest high school in the nation, so it would be difficult to pass up. But what happened was, after I passed the first round, I became more invested in that opportunity, and by the time I got my results for the second round, I was sure I was going to accept, and I had already gotten in the mindset. So of course there is some anxiety while you're waiting, but the actual admissions journey was as you expect. It's going to be it was a tricky test, and there's time pressure and everything, but it's reasonable for the end result.
I mean, so as I mentioned earlier, some of my friends were part of TJ prep courses. They didn't want to tell me what it was at first. They were kind of secretive about it. But at the end, they ended up telling me what it was, and my parents scrapped together some money to get me to join that session for, I think, the last 6 months before the TJ test. So I wasn't in it for long, but it was really uncomfortable for me because everyone else was Asian, and I'd be in a room of like 80 other people, and I'd be the only non-Asian student. But I guess it was definitely difficult in some moments. I remember I had a teacher who didn't really think that I'd get in. She told me not to apply. So that was a bit rough, but it was really cool to kind of come out on top at the end and be able to show people that, I was good enough to get in, even though people did doubt me.
Yeah, so for me, I have kind of a similar story to Dee Dee, where a lot of people really doubted me. I wasn't in the AAP program, so I remember the AAP students would always tell me, like, oh, well, you're not in AAP, why are you applying? Or, oh, well, you're probably not going to get in. And I was also, I wasn't in geometry either, I was in algebra, so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm like definitely not going to get in. And so I was going to info sessions at my base school to learn more about that school. And I was I was planning out my courses at my base school and looking at their course catalog and thinking about what I would do there. So for me, like the idea of getting into TJ was not something I like even I can't remember the word, but it's like, it was something that I didn't even just think about. I was like, I'm not going to get in. And I kind of thought of like the work I was putting into studying for the test and the essays. I was like, oh, well, you know, this is kind of just something I'm doing because if I don't do it, I will regret it for the rest of my life, because it is the #1 high school in America. So I was like, okay, I should apply, even though I'm literally not going to get in. And so obviously I got in, and I'm honestly, to this day, I'm still surprised that I got in. So yeah, if anyone is out there like who's like me and is not in AAP and is not even in geometry, like that does not mean that you won't get in.
Awesome. So we have a question from Elena. If Elena, could you unmute yourself and ask the question, please?
Hi everybody. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to ask you questions. Yeah, I was kind of curious, like how much study did you actually, how many hours did you invest in studying outside of school? Because from what I've seen, these tests are not really following the school curriculum necessarily. It's much more complicated than your normal school work. And some of it, like science, I don't even think that you guys are actually studying that in the normal school, you know, before you actually go to the TJ test. So I think, I assume that you guys really studied outside of school as well. And how much, when did you start? I heard some kids are starting like really early. Some of them start just before the test. So yeah, I was curious.
I just wanted to say, I think take our responses with a grain of salt. The TJ test has changed since we took it. I'm not sure about you or Hel actually, but when we took it, Gerline and I, there was no science section.
Yeah.
But so I actually didn't study all that much. I did take the TJ prep course, but I was so alienated most of the time that I just didn't have the energy to study all that much. So honestly, I'd say maybe 2 hours a week out. Yeah, because for us it was just the math and the essays really.
Oh, I
So not that much for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Like Didi said, I think actually, yeah, she's right. The year that I applied is when they changed the test. So, and as far as we know, that's what it will be the next year too. They added the science section. So I know when I came into it, there was not much known about what the science section was going to be like. But what happens is, and yes, Elena, some people do start early. I knew people who started from 4th grade, and if it makes you feel better, some of the people I knew that started in 4th grade still didn't get in. It's not a determinant of whether your child will get in. So, and I started preparing late. I didn't actually sign up for a proper prep class. It's just, it's possible to find resources on your own, right? They'll be out there. They're hard to find. We'd love to help you, but they're out there. Even if you start late, I wouldn't recommend starting late, but it can be done. And unfortunately, I'm not a good story because I didn't commit as much time as I wished preparing for the exams. But to give you an estimate, at least for the first round, maybe like an hour a week for the 2 months leading up to the exam. Like Dee said, take our answers with a grain of salt, and also it just varies between students. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's for sure. Well, we'll see if they will still have tests starting this year. That might actually go away totally. So we'll see. Thank you so much.
All right, so kind of moving on and more into accepting your TJ decision, TJ acceptance. I was wondering like if there were things that were holding you back from accepting your acceptance letter, or things that motivated you to take the step and actually go to TJ.
For me, I remember, so I didn't check my acceptance, like the decision, until like 3 hours after it came out because I was so nervous. But I clicked yes, I accept, like as soon as I saw it, because so Didi and I live pretty close by, and in my area, the high schools are also not very great. Like I grew up hearing stories from my cousins about how like a lot of their classmates would do like really bad things in high school. So I knew that going to TJ was my only shot at a good high school education. But definitely I honestly didn't really want to go. I felt like I had to go, but I didn't really want to because, like I said before, my main reasons for applying were that there are no bells and you get like 70-minute lunches and it's a good school. But I did a lot of research online and I read a lot of horror stories, most of which were not completely true. But yeah, definitely those like horror stories I read online were really holding me back.
Similar to what Gerline said, for me, it wasn't the horror stories, but more so the misconceptions and then the stereotypes that there are. Those are probably what were holding me back. And speaking for my 8th grade self, I had my priorities all wrong. My main reason for not going to TJ was because I was like, oh, I'm gonna lose my base school friends. I'm not gonna stay in touch. Well, let me tell you now, the friends I have now, I know like it's always hard to let go, but the friends I have now are some of the best friends that I've ever had, and I don't regret the decision at all. And honestly, that was part of why I was hesitant. The stereotype is that TJ is a nerd school and nobody has a life. It's not true. I mean, for the most part, we're all normal high schoolers. You're gonna find a group that you fit in with. We all have interests beyond STEM. I mean, let me just say, most of the misconceptions that you hear are easy to dispel. Take my word for it. It's not a good reason, but regardless, coming to TJ, although it sounds very cliche, did change my life a lot. So, do I regret it at all? No.
I wish, I'm really glad you had that experience, Rahel. Mine wasn't, so positive. I remember the day that I found out I got in. I was at soccer practice, and my coach gave us a water break right at 6 when the results came out, and then my friends took my phone and checked for me. So they actually found out before I did, and they started screaming, and they were like, "Oh my God." And I didn't really say much. I like smiled and was like, haha, thanks. But when I got home, I was really sad and I cried a lot because I knew I didn't have an option to say no. Like I think part of me really, really wanted to because I didn't want to go to a school that was less than 2% Black. But if I'm talking about the experiences that TJ gave me and the opportunities, it's infinitely more than what my parents could have even dreamed of affording. So if I'm talking about do I regret it in the academic sense, not at all. If I'm talking about the social perspective, I did find friends here that I'm definitely going to have for life. So like Rahel said, there are people here that are really wonderful. But that's not to say that as an underrepresented minority, it's not going to be hard at times.
All right, so in the next section, we're going to segue into your experiences at TJ. Before I ask my question, though, I know that Konada had a question. If you could unmute yourselves and ask the question that you sent in the chat, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you may have covered some of it when a couple of you had stated that for the most part, your experience at TJ was good. I guess I'm asking what were some of those negative experiences throughout the process? And again, I think some of that was covered already.
What were the difficulties?
Yeah, what were the difficulties?
I think during the actual admissions process, the difficulties, or sorry, could you clarify a little bit? Do you mean some of the difficulties in terms of preparation, taking the exam, or?
Yeah. So again, I was responding to some, what you guys said during your introduction. So, what really, for those of you who did say it wasn't great all the time, what were those not great all the time moments that really kind of hit you that you spoke about during your introduction?
So just to also follow up real quick, do you mean during the admissions or when we got to TJ?
Again, I'm following up on a statement that you made. So I think
the school itself. Too.
Yeah. So again, how about let me rephrase this. What is the most negative experience overall each of you have had at TJ's and in TJ, and what have you learned from it?
I mean, sometimes people say things, and it's not always out of malintent. Sometimes it's just they may not have grown up in a diverse area, or just people sometimes say things without thinking. What was really hard wasn't the fact that they said hurtful things, but rather that there was never really anyone around that looked like me that could back me up. And that was also definitely hard during the admissions process. I think while I was applying, it made it difficult because I didn't really see other people that looked like me applying. And one thing that I just really wanted to emphasize is like, yes, being an underrepresented minority at TJ can be hard, but that's also something that you all have the power to change by applying. If there are more low-income students, Black and Latinx students, then it becomes more comfortable for those that are the underrepresented minority, and we can help fight back against the culture that can be hurtful at times. So I just wanted to emphasize that while it was rough for me, I really believe that everyone here, really has a part. Like you guys can play a part in changing that narrative.
Yeah. So for me, so there have been a lot of negative experiences, but in general, the worst is like, for example, there's something at TJ called mentorship, which is basically when you go and do research at a local laboratory and you like publish a paper in a journal at the end. So it's a really big opportunity. And I remember going to the meeting, and the person who was leading the meeting was like, yeah, you should probably have a car so that you can drive yourself to your to wherever your lab is. And I was like, oh, okay, so this opportunity is not available to me because I could never have a car. And also, like, I remember there's like this spreadsheet that the Career Center has full of like summer opportunities, and I remember being really excited about a lot of them. And then I saw that there was a cost column, and a lot of them had price tags in the thousands. So I was like, oh, okay, never mind. And even the ones that didn't cost anything, when it got to the summer before my junior year, I knew I was 16, so I had to be looking for a job. And in my computer science class, I felt very behind, because a lot of the students in that class either had parents that are software engineers, so they helped them with their homework every night, and the homework was incredibly difficult. And a lot of them, it was a beginner's class, but a lot of them had taken prep courses on like all of the coding languages. So I did feel very left behind. But luckily, I like to be a really positive person. So here's one of the most positive experiences at TJ, and honestly in my whole life. I was offered an internship with the TJ Partnership Fund, and it is paid, which was awesome for me because I didn't, like, my parents work in retail, so I really did not want to have to get a retail job. And so I was offered this paid internship, and I am still an intern, and I'm given a lot of flexibility with my projects. And so basically I can like look at issues at TJ and just try to solve them. And so one thing I proposed is a scholarship for low-income students. So basically for all of the students at TJ that are on free or reduced price lunch, receive this scholarship to use during their time at TJ. And so my boss loved the idea, and they showed it to the board, and they loved it as well. And it made me really, really happy. So for those of you who are low-income students, you don't need to worry because there is this scholarship available to you for you to use to pursue all the opportunities you want to.
Awesome. So continuing on Gerlene's more positive tone, I was wondering if Daniela could unmute herself and ask your question. Also, before you answer the question, please tell us if your student is going to apply to TJ this year. Daniela?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for organizing this session. It's really wonderful to hear all your experiences. Yeah, I guess my question is the flip side of the previous question, which is, I was wondering if you could share, maybe one highlight of your experience at TJ, something that just sort of sticks out in your mind. And Gerline, maybe, the one that you just shared might be it. And I'm here with my son, and he is planning to apply. Thank you.
So Didi and Rahel.
Okay. Didi, go ahead.
No, I need to think. I was going to say there's like a lot of things that I could talk about.
Me too. I have like on a more general note, I'll say it would probably be just like when I think of TJ on a positive note, and I won't make it too related to academics because I could say a lot of nerdy things like, oh, when I got an A on my blah, when I got an A on my blah. Those are great days. But more importantly, they're the on Mondays we have like 70, 80-minute lunches. And my fondest memories, which now seem very far away, especially because of quarantine, are sitting outside with my friends on Mondays, sitting in the grass in the courtyard and just like playing cards, chatting, eating lunch. Because of course, one of the great things that comes with being at TJ is a lot of freedom. So work and play. And yes, that's one of my fondest memories. You get a lot of freedom, which comes with a lot of fun at TJ. So go ahead, Didi.
So I need to, embrace my inner nerdiness. One of my answers has to be the neuroscience class that they offer here. It's not your typical, like, here's a textbook, go home and read this chapter, and here's a test. We actually learn through looking at studies about neuroscience, and we would come and have a discussion with like all 20 students, and the teacher would just listen. And if we had really tough questions, that was when she'd step in. And I'm a really social person. I love reading. I love talking. So that was like my dream class ever. I've also always been into neuro. So there's that. But also, the not nerdy side. In one word, just German. I'm a part of the German community at TJ, and it's like the definition of like home. Everyone's so sweet and so kind, and my German teacher is one of the best people I've ever met. And for class, when it's nice outside, she'll take us out to the courtyard and we'll just sit in small groups and chat, back before Corona days, obviously. But yeah, it's just that community there really cares about you, the person, not you, the student. And I'm just really grateful that I had the opportunity to be part of that.
Yeah, so going off of what Rahel and Didi said, I would also like to share my own experiences as someone who has graduated. I think Rahel and Didi did a good job of mentioning how supportive the TJ community is of you. My closest friends right now, even though we're all in different colleges, my closest friends are still my TJ friends. I respect them so much. They teach me new things basically every day. And furthermore, on the nerdier side, as Didi put it, I think the access that you have at TJ is unparalleled, especially the labs. I remember my senior year, I had the opportunity to work with a confocal microscope, and these things, some colleges don't even have this type of equipment, and I was able to use it for my senior project. And then my teacher was also super supportive of giving me the training necessary to work the microscope and actually develop a project surrounding it. So just wanted to elaborate more on those 2 points. So the next question I have for the panelists is, what most surprised you about TJ? Anything that struck you as different?
Like I said earlier, there's so many misconceptions about what TJ is. And I'll tell you, the true ones are obviously that we're all students who care about our future and our education, but that doesn't mean we don't have interests beyond STEM. So you're gonna find people like you, you're gonna find people there for you, you're gonna find people that you click with. Yes, we're all ambitious, we want to succeed, and we take our education seriously, but yeah, I take it for somebody who thought they were coming into a nerd school and is having an amazing experience. I know not everybody is, but I am. I'm just your average high school kid, and maybe I am a nerd a little bit now, but proud of it. It's not always what you think it is.
For me, what surprised me most about TJ, and this is more related to me, so I came here thinking, okay, I'll try it out for a semester, and I probably won't be doing well, so if I don't like it after a semester, I will drop out. And what really surprised me is that although the workload is definitely tough, I'm not gonna lie, it is super, super rigorous. It's doable. If you study hard enough and if you pay attention in class and you learn good study skills, you can absolutely do well here.
I think what surprised me was just that I'm still thinking. I still don't know for sure. Just the whole experience has been insane. But the teachers are really flexible. I think adding on to what Gerline said, I remember my junior year, I started AP US history and I just was not doing well. I was failing all of my tests and quizzes and I was like, what is going on? And so we had weekly you had to write out your notes and show it to the teacher, and that just wasn't working for me. So I sat down with her and I was like, listen, I really care about this, but it's just not sinking in. So we actually organized for me, instead of doing like writing out my notes, I would verbalize them and I'd record my notes and then I'd send that to her instead of showing her my written out notes. And my grades started going up as the year went on. And I don't know if that's all schools, but I feel like TJ accommodated for the fact that sometimes I don't learn the same way as everyone else. And it was just cool to have a teacher that, cared enough to modify the homework, I guess, just so it would fit me better.
That's so sweet of your teacher. So the next question, I'm actually going to combine it so we can move a little bit faster with our webinar. So what is one thing that you wish you knew about STEM and TJ before that you know now? And also, what were some of your biggest challenges at TJ?
My answer for those questions are a little bit different. First one, I'll make it brief. I think one thing I wish I knew is that if you're interested in STEM, whatever you come in thinking you're gonna do is not always gonna be what you end up doing, right? I came in thinking I was gonna math was gonna be my thing, and to tell you the truth, the two things that I'm most interested in now are the two things that I had the smallest background on, and TJ definitely sparked a fire in me for both of those things. Maybe I just got good teachers, I don't know, but for programming, I had basically no experience. And that's like my favorite thing ever now. And then same with biology. My middle school didn't really focus on it at all. So honestly, I'm still amazed by how much they have to offer there. Like Gerline and Didi said, they're seniors, so they know how how diverse the senior research labs are and the classes. Anything you can imagine, we have it. It still surprises me how much we have. So yeah, that's one thing I wanted to say. And then in terms of challenges, I will honestly say that for the beginning of the first year, fitting in was difficult. I felt overly aware of like my race, like the fact that I was Black. Like it's almost, it feels like everybody's staring at you like she's not supposed to be here, And to tell you the truth, I got over it quick. When I find a group that kind of, took me in, and it didn't feel like that anymore. Because when you don't see a lot of people that look like you, you always question yourself, like, was I supposed to be here? And I had experiences leading up to the time that I attended TJ that were huge turnoffs in terms of, things like that. So I wasn't coming in with the best attitude, but the second I was able to prove myself and justify to myself that, yeah, I'm definitely worthy of my spot here, I haven't felt insecure again. Like, I haven't. That's the truth. And it takes a little bit of time, but it's gonna happen. And I can't speak for everybody. I know some people are still dealing with this, but for me, I think I was able to get over that one quickly.
Yeah, I guess my answer to this question is a little bit more general to the academics at TJ as a whole. But one thing I really wanted to highlight is that the classes they definitely prepare you really well, especially the AP classes. And I think this is honestly one of the biggest benefits of TJ, because I know, so I've only taken 4 AP classes, which is a lot, but not, not like so much that I was overwhelmed. And so I did pretty well on all of the exams. Even though I honestly did not study for them, the classes prepared me so well that I was able to score very high. And I was looking at the AP credit transfer at schools like Virginia Tech and UVA and William and Mary, and I realized that I'm like, at the end of my junior year of high school, having taken 4 APs, I already had like 21 credits at William and Mary and Virginia Tech, and you only need 120 to graduate. So I was 1/6 of the way done with college my junior year of high school, and that is a ton of money that you're saving. And so now I'm taking another 4 APs this year, so I can graduate easily a year early. So that's like a huge, huge, huge benefit to TJ and the AP system. And then I guess some challenges. Yeah, I kind of touched on them. The school hasn't always been supportive of low-income students, but that is changing.
I wish something I knew, although this might just be a high school thing, not TJ, but like, it's gonna be okay. There are gonna be nights where it's like you have 20 hours of homework that's due in 5 hours, and it's like you have 3 tests the next day and you don't know what's going on. There are definitely nights like that, but I'm still here. Life is good. I'm grateful. It's really easy to get caught up in everything in the moment. But I think that's a high school thing. I don't necessarily think that TJ, blew that way out of proportion. But just, especially in the light of COVID, life's gonna be okay. Everything works out. But biggest challenge, Rahel and Darlene both talked about this, but just being an underrepresented minority at TJ, the walking around thinking that I'm on some spotlight because I'm Black, that was definitely there for a while. Yeah, it was tough. I'm not gonna say it's any easier. People still make their jokes and their comments, and I'm not gonna say it doesn't hurt anymore. But I think once you find a community, you're able to have that network, that support network, that makes it easier to get through it all.
All right, so one more question before we hit Paula's question, which is about applications and why you should apply. So one of the biggest challenges I had as well is balancing school and everything else that was going on in my life. So if Max, if you could share your question with everyone, please unmute yourself and tell us whether or not your child is applying to TJ this year. Thank you.
Hi, Max has gone off to do his homework, but I was just wondering, I've heard that TJ can be a very high stress environment, so I'm concerned about whether or not it's the right place for him, and he has a lot of interests other than school that I think it would be a shame for all of that to go away, including travel sports. And he plays several instruments as well. So if you could address, an honest opinion about the stress level and whether, what kind of a student would do well at TJ. I'd be interested in hearing that.
I can say, I mean, I've done my travel sports. I didn't continue throughout TJ for different reasons, but I see a lot of people do it, right? I see a lot of people, actually these people still amaze me. Like, I have so much respect for the kids that are able to do this, right? They'll play a travel sport, or play for the school, which is actually a lot more commitment. I did sports with the school, and that's also a lot of commitments, a lot of hours, and still manage their grades and their clubs. And it's impressive, but it's doable, and that's the truth. You can still do the clubs you want, you can still do the sports you want, and still make TJ work. I wish I could tell you some of those sacrifices that those kids had to make. I don't know if there are any. I still do my activity. I play piano, been playing piano for over a decade, and I still do it. I didn't feel like I had to pick at any point. Should I do this or should I do TJ? It can be done. And managing stress, I mean, like I said, or I think like Didi said, teachers are there for you. They're resources. They know. Actually, a lot of your teachers might be TJ graduates. They know what it's like to be there. They know how hard it is, and they make it as easy for you as possible, and they will accommodate you. So I guess my answer is it can be done.
Yeah. I play with, sorry, Gerlin.
Oh, you can go. It's fine.
Well, I was just going to say, so I play violin, and I did play soccer with the school for a couple of years. I know people that do travel sports, and they're managing just fine. In terms of the sacrifices, it's not a sacrifice, it's learning how to be more efficient, which I think is a really valuable skill that not all TJ students have. TJ students have this mindset that the more you study, the more prepared you'll be. It's not always like that. Sometimes just 2 hours the night before is enough, and you can call it a day. People that have a lot of commitments are forced to kind of realize that and take advantage of that time. And, on the topic of music, the band and orchestra and chorus teachers here, they're absolutely fabulous. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is doable, but I kind of disagree. I do think you have to make some sacrifices, especially I know, like for me during junior year, I had so much going on with classes and extracurriculars, and right now I have a lot going on with classes and like all the activities I do, and a lot of my college apps are due this month. So for me, the big thing I sacrificed was standardized testing. And so I do feel like you can do the main things, like you can get enough sleep and get good grades and like do some activities, but you can't do all of them. And there will unfortunately be things you have to sacrifice. So in my case, I basically have not studied for standardized, like the SAT, ACT. I haven't studied for them at all. And I think that's fine because I think it's a matter of priorities. And to me, the SAT and ACT, sure, they help for your college application, but they don't help you in life. And honestly, they're not really like, I view like studying for them as a kind of waste of time because you're not going to ever use those skills ever again. Unlike in your classes, like those skills you will use. So I think it is a matter of priorities, but the things you prioritize least, you will have to sacrifice.
I think that's a very good answer. I think as you keep on moving, as you grow older, you kind of hone in on the things that you really do care about. And then you'll see your priorities sort out. All right, so in the next segment, we'll be talking about the application process and why people should apply. So before I go into my question, Paula, if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question about whether or not to start preparing. If you could unmute yourself, that'd be great. Thank you.
Hi, I'm actually in 6th grade, and my name is Lily. Yeah, I was watching this with my mom, and I was wondering if you'd have any advice on how to start the application process, because I was wondering how you studied for it and prepared for it.
Hey, so you said 6th grade. I think 6th grade is a reasonable time to, start thinking about this. You don't have to think about like the actual application for a while until you're in 8th grade. In terms of just preparing, there are some requirements that you can make sure that you're on track to meet, right? Keep working hard in school, because there's a GPA requirement, right? So get those grades up. And on top of that, make sure you'll take Algebra 1 before you go to high school. That's another thing to make sure you do. And then in terms of actually, preparing for TA specifically, assuming that there's going to be the same admissions process, there are preps that start apparently as early as, early. So if you want to sign up for a prep, like a prep class or TJ tutoring, go right ahead. I mean, it doesn't hurt, right? Yeah, I don't know where we'll be able to provide more information about specific preparation methods or classes, but hopefully we can get in touch and really give you better advice, or, yeah, thanks for asking.
All right, so the final question that I have for everyone is, why should our audience apply to TJ?
In my opinion, the biggest reason is the education you receive at TJ will be unlike an education you receive at any other high school in America. And yes, you will struggle at TJ, but again, it'll be worth it for that incredible education. There are people who go to MIT from TJ, and if you guys don't know, MIT is considered to be like probably the most difficult college in America. And even those people say that MIT was still easier than TJ. So if you go to TJ, you will be prepared for anything. Like I remember I was on Facebook one day and I was reading like things alumni had said, and there are TJ alumni who joined the military, and they also said that the resilience and the strength that you develop from a TJ education helped them in the military. So it will literally help you with like every single thing that you do. And I feel like you kind of get this mentality that you can get through anything. And you also have a lot of confidence because you went through, a very difficult education. And so not only will that directly help you in school, like your classes will be much easier than if you had not gone to TJ. The mindset that you develop will help you in like every aspect of your life.
I think Gurleen put that really well. One of the best things that TJ can do for you is prepare you for the future, right? One of the most common things I've heard from TJ alumni is that, college and just life after TJ, you feel so prepared for it. Like it feels easy because you've just gained so many skills from that setting, that environment. And, just in terms of like pure academics, you have a lot of knowledge that and just experience that a lot of other high schoolers just don't have access to. And so, some of the things that will prepare you, I don't know, things that I've learned to do better, time management. That is a huge one that obviously pays off big time, stress management, just things like that. It'll pay off. I think that's one of the things that I try to remember all the time, even on the hardest days, like it's gonna pay off. It'll be worth it.
I definitely like 100% agree with Rahel and Garlene. The one thing that I wanted to add though, I know that the stereotypes that kind of were stacked against me when I was younger as a Black person, as a female, they definitely, stung sometimes. But the amazing thing about TJ is that it gives me the power to fight back. Like, just me being here is breaking past some of those barriers. And who knows, maybe I'm making it easier for some of you guys and maybe for kids after you that are going to apply to TJ, right? So I think the reason why that I would say you should apply to TJ if you want to help fight back some of the barriers that held you back when you were younger, to change the narrative for the people that will come after you, then I think a TJ education will really help you do that.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Kind of going off of Gerline and Dee Dee's point, as a TJ alumni, I think a lot of TJ students have a certain resilience and confidence about them. Sometimes our friends, like my friends would joke like, oh, we went through TJ, we're not afraid of anything. And even though it's a joke and kind of a little shtick at, TJ's like rigorous curriculum, I do think that there's a certain confidence that you have when you graduate TJ to change the narrative, to succeed in professional or personal goals. I think that's very, very true. Yep. All right. So that concludes our FAQ section. Now, if anyone has any questions at all, please put them in the chat and I will call on you. Yep. Oh, also, if you haven't filled out the survey already, please fill it out. It gives us your information and then we can put you on mailing lists and give you more resources. All right, so yeah, again, any questions, just drop them in the chat.
Catherine, I think I see one from Alma Cruz. They have a question about the requirements.
Oh yeah, Alma, if you would like to unmute yourself and ask the question.
I'm in 8th grade already, and I'm taking algebra, so I would just like to know if, what are the requirements exactly?
Well, if you're taking algebra 1 now as an 8th grader, you've already satisfied that requirement. Obviously, the residency requirement, right? If you're living in one of the counties that feeds into TJ, that's another thing that you can make sure you're on track for now. And then the other thing that I said was, GPA, just, getting your grades up and making the GPA look good. And another thing I think I forgot to mention earlier, like I said, this could change based on the new admission system, but teacher recommendations are a thing. So make sure you're, making good impressions on your teachers so that they can write a good recommendation for you. Work to stand out in your classes and excel, and you'll thank yourself later. So those are the things that you can be, those are the requirements for now. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Jorge mentioned this in chat, but just to share with everyone, 3.5 GPA, residency requirement, algebra in 8th grade, and to show an interest and willingness to learn about the STEM. So, yep.
Sorry, Catherine. I think right now it's actually 3.0. The 3.5 is in the new admission.
Proposed changes. Okay, sorry, my bad. 3.0 currently, 3.5 with the proposed changes, but we're not sure about that. Yep. Any other questions? All right, so seeing that there are no questions, this does conclude our webinar. Thank you everyone so much for staying with us on a Monday night here. Again, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to email us, and then we'll also be sending out the recording as well. And again, I know this is a final plug, but please also fill out the survey so we have your contact info and we can get in touch soon. So if it's okay with the panelists, we can stay behind for a couple of minutes to take more questions, to talk, to chat. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much. And hopefully you filled out the survey. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to stick around for a bit with Catherine and hopefully also Rahel. Feel free to ask us anything.
Thanks, guys, for coming. Really appreciate your interest.
When do admissions start? That's a good question. I don't know. Do you guys know?
I think they pushed it this year again, didn't they? So it depends when what grade your child is. For this year's admission, does anybody know the date they pushed it to? I can look that up quickly. Oh, it's on pause.
Oh, it's on pause. Okay. Oh, also, let me find the link for the survey again.
TJ prep courses. Oh, so that's something you can find on your own. I don't know if there are any provided specifically by TJ, but they're usually like private companies or like individual tutors who will work with you. That's usually, I think, how people do it when they sign up for official prep. There's usually an organization that you'll sign up with, and I guess at this point it'll be virtual. Is there any way for us to like plug specific, suggestions in terms of prep for people who are really interested, Catherine? Like, would that be on the mailing list a little bit later if they join it?
I think that would be on the mailing list. I know that like the TJAAG committee is working on compiling a list, so I think we're okay. All right, I sent the link to the survey again for anyone who hasn't filled it out yet. Yeah. Yeah.
Any more
Jorge
questions?
just. Oh, sorry. Oh.
Nothing. I was just asking the chat.
No, there was a whole list of thank yous, so I think I might have missed some. Oh no, we're good. Jorge mentioned this in the chat, but so the TJAAG will be coming up with a list of accessible resources, ideally at no to low costs. Yeah. And then Ruth has a link to the resources as well. All right, so for the people who are sticking behind, is there anything that you would like us to talk about or any questions that you have? Oh, okay, this is interesting. How much programming is taught at TJ?
Hey, I'd love to touch on this because that's totally, I think, the direction I'm going to go in. Unless Catherine, because I know you've already graduated. If that's the path that you went, I think you should address this one.
I was bio. I took foundations of comp science.
Okay, yeah, then yeah, I can totally touch on this one. There's so many different programming classes. Like after you take the required, so everybody like at least once during their 4 years has to take the foundations class for computer science. So like before you leave, you're at least gonna learn some programming. It's not really an option. And then after that, you can choose to pursue it even further, right? You can, I think the next step is you have to take AP Comp Sci, computer science. And then after that, a bunch of different classes become accessible to you. The one that I'm taking right now, I took one last year called cryptography, and then I'm taking one right now called artificial intelligence. And I'm telling you, the teachers have said that after you go through some of these classes, you can get a low-level job in whatever area the class was in. It's that, like comprehensive and interesting. You're gonna find so many avenues to go down, even just within programming. They have like web design, like web app development. You can go down a more like tech engineering road. You can go down like a design road, AI. There's just so many options. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I definitely want to say that I keep on mentioning my friends who come out of TJ, but a lot of TJ alumni feel that the CS curriculum at TJ definitely helped them out in college and later on. I know a lot of my friends end up doing internships even in high school, which is sometimes unheard of because they feel so prepared for the CS curriculum. Yep. Okay, another question. How does TJ fare in terms of gender diversity?
It's
Edie, you want to answer?
it's 60-40. I've looked at the
60-40?
numbers. Typically 60% male, 40% female, though that number changes depending on the class. In my AP Bio class, the majority of the class, they were female. We were required to take CS at TJ, but when I took it my summer before my junior year, it was mostly males there. My AP Gov class this year, 30 people. There's 5 girls, so that's kind of sad. But yeah, it just really depends on the class.
Yeah, I think it was very interesting because in senior labs, it's like different labs have different gender ratios. For bio, I think my class was majority female. For chem and CS, I think they were pretty split evenly. And then for physics, for some reason, there were much more guys who were doing physics, or like one of the, I think quantum labs. So I don't know. Take that how you will. Oh, another question. How much medical studies are there in TJ? Dee Dee, you're in neuro, right?
Yeah, so there's not a whole lot that you can do. Like I know some base schools around here have like anatomy and physiology. We don't have that. I really wish we did. But so there's the AP Chem, AP Bio. Once you take those 2 courses, you're able to take DNA 1 and 2. So you learn about how to use just, I don't know, DNA and the different machines. You can also take neuro, which I talked about earlier. And then there's also, what am I missing? I was going to say something else. There's psychology. What am I missing? Oh, organic chemistry. You can take organic chemistry. And then from there, there's your senior lab. So there's not a lot that you can do, but the classes that are available, they're super informative and you learn a lot.
Yeah, I do want to add on that in my biotech class, the people who were interested in medical studies designed their senior project on a medical specific project. So I think I was not too sure, but I mean, cancer research is a very huge and interesting thing. And I think they did some component of that for their senior project. I don't remember what they did specifically, but it's definitely, you have the freedom to kind of focus your project towards the medical field. Oh, also the mentorship program, I think Gerline touched on this. I personally believe that TJ isn't doing well in terms of like student access to the mentorship programs, but if you're interested, you can do a mentorship program at a hospital and do research at a hospital. So there's also that option as well. Any other questions? Anything goes, really. We're here to talk. All right. Yeah, so I guess we can stay on for a couple more minutes, and if no one else has questions, we can just stop Zoom. Oh, okay. Yeah. So how much does commute impact your time? Do you guys want to take that?
I was gonna say it kind of depends on where you live. I know some people who have a commute that's 5 minutes, and then some people who have a commute that's 2 hours. It really depends on where you live. But for the people I know who have to do that really long commute, they make like the most of their commute, right? You can either use it, like you can use the commute to, you know, unwind. You can use it to get work done. Honestly, it doesn't have as much of an effect as you think, because you can use the commute to get things done and to just catch up on sleep. How does it impact your time? Like I said, there are ways to get around it. I think it has to be a lot for it to really get in the way of your time management.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I remember being really annoyed because I live 20 minutes out from TJ, but just because of how the buses worked out, it was an hour. It was really annoying. But teachers are really good, or they were, I guess, before COVID, about giving you stuff on paper. So I would just use all of my time on my bus to knock out the math homework I had for that day. Or my friends and I, some of us were in the same classes, so we'd study together in the morning before a test. So while the time did get annoying at times, I did have to wake up slightly earlier than I would have liked. But that extra time to just sit down and have to work, or even when I wasn't in the mood to do work, then my friends and I had card games we'd play on the bus, right? Like, it's definitely, I think, a really valuable time to just do what you need to do.
I'm not fully sure on this, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but TJ starts later than other public schools, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. To account for the commute.
But we also go like longer. But in terms of like waking up, we actually get, I think, again, my commute is only like an hour, but I think I get to wake up later than my base school friends. So it's a plus. A little bit more extra sleep.
So I saw that Lashonda, you just joined. We were wondering if you wanted to have the final question to ask the panelists. If not, that's completely fine.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. And actually, my daughter did have a question, but she just walked away. We were here earlier and we got disconnected, but go ahead. She's back.
How many Prince William County students normally are at TJ?
And that's Nadia.
Could you guys hear me?
Did you ask how many Prince William students are at TJ?
Yes.
Are any of us Prince William? I'm not Prince William, but I also know that like that pool is one of the smaller ones. Like I think they're like the smallest proportion, right? I feel like might be Fairfax is the biggest, Loudoun, then Prince William. I don't know if that has to do with the commute. It might have to do with the commute, but I don't have a good estimation.
My name is Jorge Tarico. I'm a TJ alumni from '98. I just done some reading about this. So Fairfax County, because it's this county that houses it, they have the greater number of slots available to them. But so even with whatever changes, whatever happens, there is a thought process to make sure that there are opportunities available for Prince William County students. So I did have some great friends from Prince William County schools as well. They did, though, have a long bus commute.
Yeah, so just to emphasize in the chat, so Ruth can connect you with Prince William alums if you have specific questions and such. I don't remember much from my class, but I think it was 10 to 15 people. I don't know, please don't quote me. I think the statistics are wrong. Yeah. All right, I think we'll entertain one final question and then we'll call it a day. If there are none, that's cool too. I think we're good to go. Thank you guys so much for coming. We really appreciate it. Yep, fill out the form, and if you have any questions or concerns, please let us know.